formats.
Welcome to On the Internet with Jason, a podcast where we explore the latest headlines, news, and interesting topics we find on the Internet. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? Thanks for taking the time to join us this morning. By the way, Austin, that intro, I'm like, it took every part of me not to laugh. I saw a picture of the badger in there. I love the fact you threw that in there. Like I knew you threw a couple Easter eggs in there that I think only I would kind of, and I love this picture of like Jeff, like just like full on with this Tim Hortons cup like,
chugging away.
Just chugging away.
Maybe there's vodka in there. Maybe it's coffee. Who knows?
Best intro ever. You love it.
Did you see the picture of you where you're just going like this?
Oh no, I missed that one. Okay. That's another Easter egg I gotta look for then.
Double middle finger. That's a good one.
That was a great way to start the morning. Thank you, Austin. You're the best. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Jason Harris. I'm joined here today with Jeff Tessier and AKA the Austin. He's not. Then you're not. You know what? You're not. I think from now on, you're not just Austin. You're going to be known as the Austin.
Like that, kind of like a superhero.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, sounds good.
Love it.
Hey guys, I'm looking forward to this. I always look forward to this. This is like the best part of my week, right? Where I'm just like, hey, because I have no idea where we're going with this, which is like the funnest thing. By the way, some people are like going, wow, I'm listening and watching a podcast right now where the host has absolutely no idea what they're doing. Yeah, that's pretty much how this podcast goes. I know Austin always prepares some pretty cool things, and then you guys get to hear how kind of just our thoughts and opinions on it. We can cover everything inside the automotive, from operations to what's going on in the world to news to just whatever it is. It's fun. We're gonna have fun today, and like I said, I'm super excited to do this with you guys.
Likewise.
Cool. Yeah. So let's get into some headlines. This doesn't necessarily have much to do with automotive, but just some
yay headlines.
As you see in the intro, shit we found on the internet. Hear about the so you know about Fire Festival?
Yes.
Do you know about that disaster? So
I actually watched the documentary on Fire Festival.
The Netflix one.
Yeah, you bring this up because like this is by no means, for anybody out there watching and listening right now that don't know what Fire Festival is. All right, it was what was it kind of? It was supposed to be like Ibiza, or what's the other big one? The other big festival. It was supposed to be like the next
Coachella.
Coachella, thank you.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like the next version of that, and this person who decided to go create this event, it just turned into an absolute disaster. But it was a marketing phenomena. So the only reason I actually ended up watching this, because by no means is this my scene whatsoever. Can you imagine me at like one of these events, like at a rave, my shirt off and like I'm all painted up in like black light paints, and I'm like, let's go. Like,
be interesting.
I just give everyone the worst visual of their entire week. All right. But it's not my scene at all. But when I read about this guy, I had to watch I think it was a Netflix documentary, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay. So what is this? So what's the headline? Because this guy's I'm fascinated with him because from a marketing perspective, he knocked this thing out of the park. Do
you remember the marketing for the original one was quite interesting. He got like a ton of top celebrities like the Kardashians and models and rappers and everybody to literally, I don't think this was the whole campaign, but part of it was they literally just posted, what was it, like an orange square, like just a
that's all it was.
Orange square.
I think that's another reason why I was probably fascinated with it, because I'm obsessed with the color orange. So I'm like, anybody that can run a marketing campaign. It had no words. You're right. There was no words. It was literally just an orange square. Yeah. That was it. It reminded me of what was the other campaign that was recent? Remember the egg? Also, people just started posting a picture of an egg.
What was that? Oh, like the most
but
liked photo ever. It was just an egg or something like that.
it's just an egg. The most liked photo ever is a picture of an egg. So yeah, so okay, so go ahead. Yep. And it was an amazing example. In fact, I've used it a couple times at some conferences because an influencer strategy, right? Like, I mean, they were paying people big bucks just to post this orange square.
Square.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So for people that don't know, the festival was a disaster. He didn't have the logistics down at all. Didn't have food, shelter, all the basic necessities for the festival to perform well. And he got sued a bunch. And
I watched they referred it to, there was a couple hey guys, because I love headlines. Hence the reason why we're doing the show. We're doing headlines. One of the headlines that came out during the time called it like the Mad Max festival, because that's what it like turned into. It turned into people just
a
there was
complete
there
shit
wasn't
show.
enough food, there wasn't enough water, or what they were charging for water was like $5 a bottle or $10 a bottle, something stupid. All right. There wasn't enough security, and it was like some like Burning Man mad,
yeah,
craziness going on.
I think like the electricity went out like the first night, and people were just in complete darkness.
And then no one could get out of there. It was so far away. There wasn't transportation. People weren't going. Didn't they have to send military or somebody in to help? Or I think so.
Can't remember. Yeah, helicopters maybe, something like that. Anyways, great marketing, terrible execution. He went to jail for a few years, federal prison, and apparently Fire Festival 2 came to him in solitary confinement. So he's planning on doing it again, redeeming himself.
What?
Having a star-studded lineup, a bunch of big name festival, bunch of big name singers and rappers and all that. Selling them tickets for anywhere from $500 to $8,000.
When are we going, Austin? When are we going? Let's do this.
It'd be interesting. So, like, do you think this is going to be success or what?
Okay, so let's kind of pull this into like the automotive space. All right, Jeff, you remember 1998, maybe, when Ford Explorer's tires literally started to explode.
Yeah, it was either 97 or 98.
Was it 97? Maybe early as 96. I could be wrong. If you know it, go ahead, put it down in the bottom and comments, whatever. Let us know. Right. So here you go, Austin. I want to talk about a full-on blunder, right? Ford Explorers, it was a Firestone tire issue. And literally, if these things got, I guess, too hot or too compressed, the tires would literally explode. And Austin was legitimately actually killing people.
The roller cars over.
Cars were flipping over. I mean, the old Explorers were traditional SUVs. They were top heavy as it is. Blow a tire at 75 miles per hour. What do you think is going to happen? Car's going to go all over the place, right? And it got so bad that they actually renamed the Explorer the Exploder. At one point, I remember that headline. Remember, I love headlines. So I remember one headline came out: the new Ford Exploder. But okay. So why I'm bringing this up is shit can go really, really wrong, right? But then what comes out of it can actually be really, really, really good, right? And I'll tell you what. All right, if you knew you were buying the safest vehicle, the safest SUV humanly possible after that monster blunder. Right? It was like they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford it. I mean, here's what they should have done as a company. They should have got rid of the Explorer. They should have just got rid of it. Right?
Name, yeah.
Instead, they did what this guy did and went, nope, we're going to push forward with it. And they changed so much things to the vehicle. They changed the tires, the width. They changed, like, the vehicle went through a big transformation. And won all kinds of safety awards at the time and stuff like that. So they kind of made it up. It also reminds me of another example, Jack in the Box. You guys remember Jack in the Box?
Oh.
Right? Jeff,
like
the story?
Restaurant?
Yeah. So it was Jack in the Box burger joint. All right. I don't know, is selling contaminated meat and again starts killing people. Right. And again, so I will tell you this. So Jack in the Box goes through this big transformation, how they're going to be the cleanest, safest fast food restaurant ever because they can't afford it, right? So big screw up. They need to do something better. And they did exactly that. I'll tell you right now, I will go to a Jack in a Box and eat any day of the week, guys. It is the cleanest fast food restaurant you have ever been in. Like,
They will not go down that hole again, eh?
oh no, and their safety, things they're double checking and triple checking all the time. They can't afford to screw up. So here's the thing: either this is what's going to happen. This Fire 2 is going to be an absolute home run, and he'll be able to redeem himself. Or there's just going to be another Netflix documentary on why this guy should go back to jail. I'm pretty sure he's going to redeem himself. I'm pretty sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's one of the
Well,
other.
who's gonna
It's not gonna be
attend,
just
like-
all right.
Well, I'm going.
Yeah.
Because
I think-
regardless, because it's going to be a show you want to go to because one of two things is going to happen. It's going to
There
be
you go.
full on Armageddon, Mad Max, Burning Man style, right? And he's going to screw it all up, or he'll turn into the best damn thing ever. It'll be clean. It'll be organized. It will be, 100%. Because right now, look, he's got nothing but yoke on his face. Right? We've seen this happen, in the automotive space a few times. So, good headline. Good headline, Austin. All right, what other headlines you got for me? You're thinking? You're waiting.
Vacuum.
I love that podcast. So, Jeff, how's your day going?
Fantastic.
Hey, you know what?
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Austin, just for anybody that's listening to the audio right now, Austin's roommate decided to start vacuuming.
It's every day.
It's at the exact time every day. Hey, consistency. I appreciate it.
Yeah, in case you're wondering why he was in solitary confinement, I guess he was getting people to post on his Instagram for him while he was in prison, and I guess that's frowned upon in federal prison. Maybe because he was talking about his case or something, but yeah, he spent a good amount of his sentence in solitary.
Solitary.
The marketer at heart. He's gonna find a way to post regardless.
There you go. You're in jail. I don't have a phone. I'm going to figure out some way of doing it. So I'm going to go to solitary confinement because I want to post. Hey, commitment to the craft, man. Commitment to the craft. Always be making content. Did I always say that? Always be making content. Even if you're in jail, always be making content.
Yeah,
Or
gotta
get somebody to do
respect
it
that
for
to
you
some
while it's-
degree.
Well, you know what? Actually, I was talking to a dealership the other day about this. And there's something here, right? We're talking about content hacks, right? I did this. I mean, Austin, you may remember, or maybe you came on later. I can't remember, but when I first started doing content, I went and built this whole big green screen room, bought all these lights, bought all the cameras, and I'm like, I'm gonna be in this room every single day, and I'm gonna make the most amazing content in the entire world, And then reality set in, and I was like, got an effing job to do. I got to run a company. Like, this is stupid, And I think people out there that, that is one of their biggest fears. Well, there's other fears, but I think one of the biggest fears when it comes to content is just like, how do they stay consistent with it? But it's how do you stay consistent with anything? It's routine, right? You just got to get into the routine and just maintain that routine. And I was talking to a dealer who was like, I got to do it more. I don't want to do it. I said, well, you drive into work and out to work. Do the same thing I did when I first started. Grab that GoPro, suction cup it to the windshield, and just start
talking to the camera.
I mean, it's so funny. But what is it if it doesn't sound good? Guys, it's all in the edit. I mean, I can't tell you how many stupid things I've said that Austin has edited out. I mean, if you okay, that could be a whole nother podcast. Oh, there's a new podcast topic for you, Austin. Stupid shit I say. You probably got some good ones too. Anyways, I digress. You have another headline. What do you got?
Yeah. Have you seen this? This is a new this is the Vegas Dome. It's this crazy like sensory, like it's a video experience. It's like a new type of movie theater, I guess, where
Yes, I've been
it's
to a couple of these.
the entire outside is filled with like million
That's
is
crazy.
it there's like 1.2 million LED pucks surrounding the dome.
Hmm.
And so
That
it just
is
creates
cool.
this like ultra realistic high definition video screen in a sphere. So
Yeah, can you
it's
imagine how many car accidents this would cause? Just like driving down the road, and you just see this. Like, how big is this sphere? It looks like it's almost a couple hundred feet or something like that.
Gotta be.
yeah,
Looks
it's
huge.
300 foot.
300-foot sphere just randomly changing colors and showing video on this thing.
580,000
Only in Vegas, baby.
square feet.
Okay, so I got to be interested. Out of all the headlines you could grab, I'm curious what drew you to this one because it's cool as hell. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a really unique idea.
Yeah, that is too cool. Okay, so
And
look, I mean, actually, this is kind of funny because we're seeing a big movement, and this is just, I think, kind of one example of this movement of, and I've actually done, what do they call these? Immersion experiences, these immersion video experiences, where it's like you go into like a big room, and the entire room is a video, like from the floor to every single wall to the ceiling.
Whoa.
And they had these different immersion experiences. I know there was one, a Van Gogh immersion experience, where you could go in there and experience, all the paintings of Van Gogh, like literally like you're standing inside the painting. Crazy, trippy, right?
That'd be trippy.
There was another one I did with the kids. It was a Marvel one. It was immersion experience of being in this kind of like Marvel cartoon, right? No, I think there's something interesting here from the psychology behind it, and it's also the thirst for experiences. This is one thing I'm looking at like this next generation, and not even my kids, but maybe even slightly older than my kids are kind of in high school right now, or even in college level. And what are they willing to spend their money on, and what are they investing their money into, right? And it's not enough for things to just do what they're supposed to do, right? Like, it's not enough that I have this phone and I can make phone calls on it and I can send text messages out, right? The expectation now is that there's an experience that it is attached to this physical thing. So this thirst, this monster thirst for a experience, I mean, we saw it kind of start, let's call it in the last, let's say 7-10 years of, I mean, people literally just going out on monster hikes so they can take a selfie at the edge of a cliff, right? So just people proving not only that they're collecting these experiences, but of course they have to socially share these experiences out there, right? And there's a high that comes off of sharing those experiences. And you're seeing this now also in the automotive space, right? I mean, you look at a lot of the new cars that are coming down the pipelines, and the automotive manufacturers are going, well, look, it's not enough that the car just drives me from point A to point B. What is the experience like in that
Driving it, yeah.
Yeah, I saw an interesting one with Audi. I thought was really kind of interesting, and I can't remember what they wanted to create: the most relaxing, frictionless driving experience. So I haven't seen this in play yet, but I remember reading an article about this at one point. You can, on like these new Audi e-tron vehicles, you can actually map out where you want to go, and it will tell you how to maintain speed so that you never hit a red light.
That would be cool, because it takes me 20 minutes to get up Appleby line just to get to the 407, because I hit every freaking red light. Imagine that.
So,
I'd love it.
Jeff, right? Like, I mean,
I'm in.
Like,
I don't care. I'm sold. Don't take the house over and buy it.
Right? Like, I mean, but it can actually tell you, or what it does, it will try to eliminate if not, get down to the most minimal possible red lights. But what it's all built around is an experience. And one of the most annoying experiences of driving a vehicle is that starting and stopping, that starting and stopping, starting and stopping. So how can you remove that, right? Now that's just one example, but we've seen this now. I'm going to call it the backseat experience, right? And it's like, what is the backseat experience? I mean, you see minivans now with like 22-inch screens in the back, two of them, and they're like the seats recline, massage, heat and cool. I mean, I'm practically in an effing spa, driving in a Toyota Sienna. So like, anyways, I'm going a long-winded here and kind of looping this thing around, but it doesn't surprise me to see these big, monstrous kind of experiential type things. And I think we're seeing more of that. And also, and automotive's always been kind of good like that. I mean, one of the first, let's call it experiential marketing experience or immersion type marketing experiences I had with automotive was with Land Rover. Jeff, do you remember when Land Rover, I think it was 90s, maybe mid 90s when they started doing it? When they started building the off-road tracks inside at the dealerships. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't know when it was, but the one I
Maybe
worked for in
maybe I just
Waterloo,
started noticing them in the mid 90s.
maybe the one I worked for in Waterloo, BK Motors, they had that. I thought that was the coolest thing. Like it
Well,
was incredible, and it was not like a Mickey Mouse one, man. These things were aggressive. Like I don't know how the cars survived.
well, that's the thing, right? Let's take a $80,000-$100,000 vehicle.
Oh, it blew my mind.
And really give them the experience. Now, the funny thing is that, I mean, Austin, you'll have to find a picture or something like this of these Land Rover driving tracks, and they may have even called it the Land Rover Experience. I can't remember exactly what.
Yeah, something like that sounds familiar.
But they may have actually coined it something like that. But this thing was extreme. I mean, it pushed that vehicle, and a brand new vehicle, right? And it was extreme. I mean, this vehicle would go practically like up a wall and then right back down, and then it would take side angles to the point that you feel like the car is just going to flip over, but it would handle it. And what I think was so fascinating is that it was taking a product that like people that were going to buy this product was
Never gonna do that stuff.
was never going to do this, right?
Other than when they bought
Other than when they bought it at the car dealership. Otherwise, then they were never ever going to do this extreme level of off-roading. But it showed what the vehicle could do. And what here's the thing with an experience like that is now since I buy the vehicle, right? I now
levels up big time.
well, yes, but I own that experience now. Like I own that portion of that experience, so that experience goes with me and stays with me, and it becomes a part of the story of the ownership of it. And I think people out there right now, and so much so that they're looking to buy products, to take vacations, to purchase certain vehicles, to buy certain pieces of technology, with the intent of taking ownership of an experience, a defined experience that goes along with it, right? It's something else, that it doesn't surprise me though. And they'll pay for it. How much also say how much it costs to actually go in it and stuff?
I'm sure it's quite expensive, but it's so on the inside it's much like the outside where they have very high definition screen. And it's supposed to give you like a really like immersive experience because obviously it's curved all around you.
Yep.
And I think it's like almost like 180-degree screen. And then the other unique part is it has like all these individually angled speakers that for every single seat that you're in the audience, the sound is like perfectly directed towards each individual seat so that each person has the same experience, same like audio experience, and it can sort of like it doesn't matter what seat you're in, you're getting a good audio experience.
Too cool, right? But again, it is that. And speaking of audio, we've actually seen this in automotive as well. I can't remember which brand. I'm sure it was Mercedes, and I've probably seen it in a handful of other brands. I just can't remember off the top of my head, where they started to install speakers inside the headrest. Again, because if I'm sitting in the driver's side, I have a speaker that's close to me on my left, but then one that's farther away from me on my right, and to compensate to get that perfect sound was difficult. So again, it's people will pay for this. That's my point. My point is, as small or big the experience is, they will pay for that experience. And I think for anybody out there watching, listening right now, you can take that. I mean, put that into your own put that into your own dealership, your own service lane, put it into your own parts department. Like, how can you create that experience? I digress. Good one, man. Good one. I like this one.
Steven says the
Hey, Steven.
NADA 2024 reception will be held at the Vegas Sphere.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, sweet. Totally looking forward to that. There we go.
We'll get to experience it.
We get to experience it. And you know what? How much you want to bet? I mean, because in NADA, you see so many people taking pictures and socially sharing the event in real time. I bet you it's going to be the most heavily posted image for that entire event will be that Sphere.
All right, I got one more headline for you. Well, not really headline, but an idea. What do you think about the future of flying taxis, or electric flying taxis, I guess?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
It's called eVTOLs, and it's essentially
Is that what they're
electric.
calling it?
Flying taxis are gonna happen.
Sorry,
What was it they're calling it?
on the flying taxi. eVTOLs.
What does that stand for?
I knew at one point, but I can't remember now.
It's okay. I love the idea. I'm still excited for the idea of autonomous vehicles, but a flying. But I look, there might actually be more practicality in flying than autonomous vehicle. There's a lot less going on in the air than there is going on the ground. Because the only other downside is there's a lot of other probability of crap going really, really wrong. The difference between something going wrong and then extremely wrong is probably much broader in the air than it is on the ground. No, I've worked with a couple dealer principals that own their own jets and own their own helicopters. Just being able to get from one side of a major metropolitan to another side of a major metropolitan, and what it would have taken a hour and 45-minute traffic is done in a 21-minute helicopter ride. Yes, but I think it also comes down to cost, right? Like,
That's the thing. I think it at this point it's not going to be entirely feasible.
It's still in helicopter range, isn't it? It's still, I mean, because I understand what the cost to operate. I remember talking to my dealer principal friend that owned the helicopter. He knew exactly what the hourly operating cost was for that. But how many dealerships he was able to actually go to, and the what effect he was able to put onto the operations from a positive ROI perspective by being able to go to all these locations and go to them quickly, offset this hourly operational cost of operating the helicopter. And I can't imagine these things are probably any different. If not, they're probably more expensive to operate on an hourly basis.
And the range isn't anywhere near.
Yeah, you're not going as far either, right?
Yeah. Look, I'm excited. I think if like anything, any piece of technology, if you can get it down to the price where that cost
masses can use it.
Well, yeah, it's a balance, right? It's like for when the hourly operating cost is within range of more people, and I'm not talking like where it's in the range of like the cost of a taxi. So that's why I hate the word taxi in there. That would be the first thing I'd say. I'd hate the word taxi, but it can make sense. That's all I'm saying. It can make sense. And and I think it'll be interesting to see what the technology. But my idea, was or what I thought was more exciting to learn about is the autonomous driving. Like the idea that I could, if I need to be, like if I need to be in Ottawa for a meeting at 8 a.m., if I can just get into a car, lay down, go to sleep, and wake up, and the car's there. That sounds very appealing to me, or being able to drive to a place, like I'm thinking like just okay, so family trips, right? I got a family trip coming here at the end of the month, going to Florida with the family. It's a 9, almost 10-hour drive. I don't really get to enjoy that 10 hours. That's 10 hours I don't really get to enjoy my children very well. I'm going to tell you that right now. So, I'm not saying if an autonomous vehicle would help that, but I could flip my seat around. I could talk to them.
Well, you could engage with them a lot more, right? It's really hard to do that while you're driving.
Oh my gosh. And they want to, though. They want to. Hey, Dad. Are we there yet? Are we there now?
Yeah, 2 minutes
I'm
later.
going to be till we're there. I'm like, it's the same answer I gave you 5 minutes.
Let's stop and get something.
That's it for today's episode.
All right. Thanks for everyone. Appreciate you guys taking the time to check this out.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to On the Internet with Jason. To stay up to date with all our content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.
Welcome to the Coffee with Jeff and Jason podcast. Tune in for freshly brewed discussion on everything you need to know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your hosts, Jeff Tessier and Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? Hey, thanks for sticking in here with us and joining us on another episode of Coffee with Jeff and Jason. I'm Jason. Jeff's over. Wait, over. He's there. He's over there. There he is.
Yes, there, buddy.
And then, all right, the man behind the curtain. All right, hitting the buttons and make the magic happen. The one and the only, the Austin. What's up, Austin?
Hello. How's it going?
You like that? The man behind the curtain, pushing the buttons.
I do.
Oh.
Big fan.
All right, coffee time. All right, guys. Hey, for everyone out there watching, listen, thanks for taking the time to join us today. We get to talk about anything and everything we want to talk about on this particular podcast. We don't have any specific topics, but Austin's always pretty cool about identifying some stuff for us to kind of jam about. But we are going to have a ton of fun, and we appreciate you guys taking the time to hang with us. So, Austin, what do you got for our coffee today?
Let's talk a little bit about post-sale follow-ups.
Post-sale follow-ups. The lack of, or just the...
A little bit of both. Let's talk about handoff to the service department first off.
Okay, that's a good one. That's one of my favorites. I know Jeff likes that one too.
Yep.
All right,
What do you like in terms of strategy there?
Let's go to what was the first one again? Remind me again.
Post-sale follow-up.
Post-sale follow-up.
follow-ups.
See, I had to get you to remind me of it because I'm trying to actually think of a dealership that has a successful one. Jeff, all the dealerships you worked with and worked in, who would you say had a good post-sale follow-up?
A BMW store that I worked at about 20 years ago.
All right. What was it?
They used a program. It was early stages of 180, the guy that developed it. I think it was called Justin back then. But they were very keen on making sure that was successful because I think it was called ACT. And I can't remember what it stood for, but that was their CSI at BMW.
Okay.
And when a customer got a CSI, whether it was from service or sales, I don't know how they randomly selected. There was a short survey and a long survey. The long survey was like 8 pages front and back.
Holy cow.
and it was huge money for the dealership, right? So they built a process around making sure that there was that follow up. They had a team that would actually take over and call the customers afterwards, and then they would keep giving them calls thereafter. We saw you're coming in for service this week, and we always knew what was happening, right? So that was kind of a good feedback that way. But you're right, it's something that lacks a lot, right? Here's your keys, here's your car, see you
And
later.
then there's the survey.
Yeah.
And
then,
honestly, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like, I mean, out of most of the dealerships I've ever worked with or consulted with, it's pretty much like, here's the keys. Let me walk around the vehicle, and they do a good job. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, there's different
and
ways.
then like you're gonna get a survey in the mail or email, whatever it is, right? But that was about it. I did have a couple though that I think there's one in particular that I think always did a really good job socially getting them connected into the community. Because really, what's the next step, right? Think about this for a second. Like, what is the ultimate goal? All right. Once they leave the dealership, now we're in the world of what? Retention. We need to retain them as a customer. And yes, they have a warranty on their vehicle, and there's a significant part of their first year or 2 or 3 of retention is because of that warranty, right? But I mean, this is where it's right. Is the retention like, do they just keep coming back to you because they have to, or do they keep coming back to you because they want to? I think is very different, right? And I also think it's like, where does the relationship, how does the relationship evolve, right? Think about this, because there's evolutions, all right, during the entire customer journey, right? Maybe the first customer journey starts online, and then it goes into a phone call or a text message, and then it turns into an in dealership, and then depending if you're able to deliver the vehicle on site, or if you have to have a longer delivery process, depending on what state or country you're in, whatever it is, right? That can be that's another portion of it as well. And then there is the transition of the relationship from the sales department over to the service department. But then I think that's really kind of, but then also, how do we maintain the relationship at the dealership level, not just at the service department level, right? It's almost kind of like, okay, sales is like, okay, my job's done. I'm done. Thanks. All right. Service, now you kick it, right? And I hate to say it, but a lot of the times, that is the point. That is the first time they actually meet the service department, is the handoff, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's that after that sell experience, you're just immediately flopped over and say, okay, you're going to be best friends with this person for the next 5 years.
I'm out.
And
the only other time we reach out is if we want something, right? We're having a sale, we're having a this, I mean, I think it happened a lot more years ago when we used to have the Rolodex, and people made notes and they were calling customers at the 6-month mark or on their anniversary, whatever notes that they made, right? Like
relationship. Yeah.
And you're right, they maintain that relationship. But I think at that BMW dealership that I worked at, I tried to emulate that as well in the dealership that I ran them out in there, but it's really hard to get everybody on board, is knowing when the customer's coming in. Sales had to talk to service. We got schedules out so that when Joe came in, Steve was there and could go talk to him and just bring him a coffee and, kind of take that edge off while there was that antsy moment, because it was a very busy store and a lot of high-end customers that were coming in. So we needed that buffer time as well, right? So many reasons. And I think it really went a long ways, but you're right. It doesn't really happen, I don't think, as much anymore anyways. We just tend to reach out when we want something from the customer versus.
Well, let's talk about what it should look like, right? And I do know some dealerships that have done this, by the way. So if you're out there watching and listening and you've done this, congratulations. And then I know some dealerships that started doing this and then stopped doing it because they really couldn't measure an ROI on it, which I think was a shame. But anyways, the transition of, well, it's not a really transition. It's an evolution. I've purchased something, right? You're now a part of my community, right? I kind of think about it. You buy something, all right, from a brand, you kind of become a part of that brand, right? And depending on how much you love that brand, you might wear their t-shirt or their hat or whatever, right? Like, you become a part of, and let's say, since you use BMW, it's a great example, right? BMWs have retail stores inside their dealerships. Shirts, hats, blankets, coffee mugs,
Bikes, whatever.
bicycles. Like, I mean, you name it, they'll have something with the BMW logo on it. They have the little kids riding cars and stuff like that, right? A little small version of a BMW M3, like so what I think is that some manufacturers have done a great job, all right, of saying, okay, you purchase this and now you're part of my community. And there are very, very few, but there are some dealerships out there that have actually done the exact same thing, and they've done it socially, right? So it's like the transition or the evolution. I keep saying transition, but it's really evolution. The evolution of coming from a sales customer. All right, yes, you're going to continue our relationship, our working relationship through our service department, but we want to elevate, evolve our relationship into a community relationship. And, and that takes some serious investment socially, right? Because we call it social media, and our industry is really good at media, meaning posting pictures of cars and people that bought cars, but being social on social media, our industry sucks at. And they've had over 10 years to try to get it right. And there are a few. There's a couple out there, so if you're watching, don't be posting angry crap down below. I know you're out there. Okay. But all right, as a whole, for our industry, we are not social on social media. Plain and simple, right? So we don't maintain that community aspect, right? And let me break this down even a smaller version. Okay, so my nephew was in town recently, and we went on a fishing trip together, and it was great. We went on a toured guide. By the way, that's the only way I think I'll ever fish again. By the way, is getting a guy that actually knows where the hell the fish are is a very different experience than you putting around the lake for 10 hours and can't find anything. But anyways, Chris, so he finds this guide. How does he find this guy? This was very interesting. He finds him where? On social media, right? And this guide is a part of this company called Talk and Tackle. Talk and Tackle is the name of the place, right? And so I left it up to him. I said, "You planned it." He goes, "Look, I went online. He went on Facebook and he searched it on Facebook." Now, again, psychology guys, just make a note of that. Okay, they didn't go to Google to search it. They went socially online to search it. Okay, make a note of that. People don't realize social medias are search engines, and they truly are search engines these days. I'm looking for a pool company. Where do I go? I go to social media because I get to read what everyone else is saying about that pool company before I integrate with it. Anyways, I digress. All right. But so going back to my fishing thing. Okay, so he finds this guy, and then I look up this place, and it was amazing. They did guides, they had a tackle shop, and then they also had a lodge, and they had like 6 rooms up above a tackle shop. And if you asked me, "Hey Jason, do you want to sleep above a tackle shop one day?" I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. It was a bad idea, and the amount of money I spent. Oh wow, that's a rod I haven't seen. Oh, I need that reel too. Holy cow! Okay, anyways. But what was interesting is what happened after I left. So I had this amazing experience, right? I had an amazing experience in this tackle shop, which, by the way, wasn't just a tackle shop. It was a tackle shop purposely built for what we were fishing for, right? So the entire shop was designed to go on, where are you going? This is what you need for this area. This is what you need for this area. So it wasn't just like going to a Bass Pro Shop where there's just everything. No, this was very specific to the area that we were fishing, and all these different things, and from rods to reels to baits to soft baits, crankbaits, fishing baits, you name it. It was designed for that specific region. I thought it was amazing. Of course, I bought tons of it because I'm like, I'm fishing this region. I want to be successful. Then we stayed there, and it was great. The experience was great. It was a little lodge. It was fun, right? And everyone's so knowledgeable and so friendly. Now I leave. Okay, so this is where I'm getting to. I leave. I go, right? All right. But then I liked them on Facebook, and I left a review because they asked me. They actually asked me, "Would you leave a review?" Absolutely. You guys were amazing. Are you kidding me? Now the cool thing is I'm part of this community, and they do an amazing job socially. I'm not trying to sell me, all right, but continue to kind of educate and entertain me on how I can become better at fishing. I've already booked 2 more guides with them. I've already booked another couple nights at the lodge. Like, I mean, it's just, but I'm connected to them, even though I'm not there and it's 3.5 hours away. I'm connected them in a community, and I'm engaging with these people. They're showing their local catches and what they were using and new spots that they found. And I'm like, I'm a part of this community. So that was a long-winded way to say what we should be doing. But I just wanted to drive that home. That is huge. That is huge. Like, I won't. Yeah, I'm so into this brand right now, and it's a little tiny brand, tiny brand. I'm so into this brand right now. I won't go to Academy Sports to buy my stuff. I won't go to Bass Pro to get my stuff anymore. I'm just going to order and have them ship it to me because I'm just so connected now into this community. And so the next rod and reel I buy, I'm going to buy it from them. Pricing, they're pretty much the same, as any of the big retailers and stuff. So, anyways, I digress. But that's what it should be, right? So it should be an evolution from the cell now into the community, but you need to be social on social media. Is that good?
So what does that look like in a dealership, that type of experience?
Well, I mean, the cool thing is, like, look, a car, all right, it's not just what you do with that. It's not the fact that you bought the car, it's what you can do with the car. And I think that's where kind of the social aspect comes from it, right? You see car clubs everywhere. People, look, here's the funny thing. If your dealership doesn't build a community, the people
outside
themselves,
people will.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not pulling this out of my butt and just saying, like, this is a good idea, guys. Like, the fact of the matter is that if you don't build a community, the people themselves will build a community. Look, a vehicle anymore, for some, is just a form of transportation. I understand that. But for the large majority of people out there, the vehicle is way more than just a piece of transportation. It is a part of how they identify themselves to the world. What kind of vehicle I'm driving, everything from an electric vehicle to a big vehicle to a fast vehicle to a small vehicle to it's just who I am. And you will see, you'll see car clubs for Kia Rios. We're talking about one of the most boring vehicles in the world. Like, you're gonna see what was one of there was a car club for Hyundai Elantra owners.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the community, people will build a community around a brand or product that they purchase. All right. If you don't build that community, somebody else will. Now, if you're the one that builds that community, there's so many things you can do with that community. All right. Your retention is going to go through the effing roof. You're going to bring in new business into the community, but it takes work, right? It's think of it kind of like it's like if you kick it old school, it's like running a forum. Like, hey guys, before social media, we had this thing called forums. Now I'm seriously aging myself. Or you had a forum, and a forum was just a group of people that like to talk about a specific subject. I think it could be everything from chess to cars to a movie. All right. And the people that are just big fans of, and there'd be forums where people can talk about it and interact with other people that liked it. And so, but now with social, it's just so much easier to build this. But the thing is with a forum, it took work. It was work. You had to be engaging. You had to be social. So then social media take off. You see why forums totally disappeared. But anyways, I digress. Build the community. So what does it look like for a dealership to build the community? It's no different than I think what the car clubs do. All right. The content that you're sharing is to encourage people to enjoy their vehicles beyond just the fact that they are transportation methods of just A to B, right? Like, what else do you enjoy? How do you like to enjoy it? Where do you like to enjoy the vehicle? And it could just be simply the wares, right? What does it look like? All right, here's the farmer's market I'm going this weekend, and this is the drive-in movie theater I went last weekend, and here's your vehicle can be a vessel for experiences. And if you document that, people are going to be attracted to that, and they will want to be a part of that. That's you then creating a community. That sounded good. I'll go with that.
When you said people buy vehicles because it says something about who they are as a person,
Sure.
I was thinking about how Tesla has sort of become like a status symbol for the younger generations. Like if you own a Tesla, like
Absolutely.
it
You're
says
an
you're
influencer.
cool or you're popular, or it almost feels like how iPhone became. It's kind of like Tesla's like owning an iPhone. Like you're part of like the cool kids club, and
Because all
it's
the
sort
cool
of
kids are driving Teslas. Like all the YouTubers and
yeah,
influencers, were they all
exactly.
driving
Exactly.
Teslas?
So do you think Tesla had a hand in creating that sort of uh
I wouldn't be surprised.
status symbol type feeling, and how can sort of other brands do that?
Either the technology itself became the status symbol in the sense of the experience that technology brings, but it was also, I think, highly an influencer thing, right? Like, so it's funny you say Tesla, Austin, because both my kids want a Tesla. And I'm like training somebody. I'm like, do you know what it's going to take? Like, they think their first car is going to be a Tesla. Like, Austin, they think their first car is going to be a Tesla. I'm like, where the hell? But that's what they watch on YouTube. All right.
Yeah.
Every single YouTuber, Mr. Beast, Preston, whatever the hell other people are screaming at the top of their lungs about something stupid. They're all driving a Tesla, and they just and fun thing is these people are all young. They're all 17, 18, 19, 20. They're all, and they're just thinking that is what I'm going to get. And, it's funny enough. I was took my son to a soccer, to soccer. They practice at this high school, this private high school, not too far from us. There's a lot of Model 3.
The parking lot.
Dude, the high school has charging stations.
Jeez.
That's how many people are. Anyways, but yes, that was a good one. That's a good one to point out, right? Like, it's just at what point in time does that status become more than a status, and it becomes kind of like a social kind of status. It's a social status, right? I'm somebody because I drive this. But we've seen that happen all the time. Jeff, you remember when we were kids? That was the same way, right? You were somebody if you drove an IROC.
Yep.
Okay, for people who don't know what an IROC is, Austin's looking at me like, what?
Austin's Googling it right now.
All right. An IROC was a Chevy Camaro, but it wasn't just a Chevy Camaro. It was an IROC. I bet you Jeff owned an IROC.
No, I wanted to.
I bet you also had a mullet too at one point.
No, that never happened.
Is an
There you
IROC?
go. There you go, dude. That was the status, right? Jeff, would you agree? Or is there another vehicle maybe I'm missing?
No, that was probably one of the coolest ones back then.
Dude, you were one of the coolest kids in school if you drove an IROC.
And a lot of companies tried to emulate that too, right? Like,
you also had the loudest sound system if you drove.
that was very popular.
Oh, anyways.
So what kind of technology can help dealerships with their post-sale follow-up?
That's the cool thing I like about this. Is there's not a lot of technologies out there, and I don't think it necessarily should be. Look, we break things into a lot of different categories: people, process, and technology. Almost everything gets broken into that. And building a community. Yes, there's some technologies out there that can assist, but the majority of the heavy lifting in building a community is people and process. Like, you got to have the right people. You have to have the right process, because building a community is consistent execution of content out there that's relevant to the community, to the people that are following you, right? Like, you can't just post one time and say that's good enough, right?
Maybe you could get instead of asking only for the survey, you get the customers to do what you said earlier, right? When you're at the drive-in or when you're at this or that, post about your experience with the vehicle, or you know what I mean? So that the customers are actually posting for you too.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You building a community around a product that you sell. And it's funny because it's funny because I think the way I purchase things right now, I almost in reverse do the opposite. So I'm kind of playing with the idea of buying a pool, which is a wild experience to try to map out, right? Like so many options, so many different costs, so many different ways you can do it. You know, do you go salt water? Do you not go salt water? And it's just like, I'm just like, I need to educate myself right now. All right. On all things pool related, you know, so that I can feel like I can make a confident relationship, confident decision. So what am I doing right now? Because, and then guys, I'm just identifying this as another opportunity. Same thing with the automotive is I'm now jumping in on, and I'm following a lot of these pool communities or pool social accounts and stuff like that. So I can educate myself on what it is, and I can ask questions to people that, you know, purchase a certain product that I might be thinking about buying. And it's like, they've had it now for 7 years, and it's like, hey, how do you like it? Does that,
Would you do that again?
do it again? I would. Well, if I was to do it again, I'd do this, this, and this. Oh man, jeez,
That's life changing. Yeah.
That changes things, right?
Well,
And
when you're dropping that kind of money, especially, right? You need to know.
it's the same price as purchasing a car.
Yep.
Right. And I think there are people out there in the exact same way, exact same thing. What they're doing is they're looking at purchasing a car and they're reversing, all right, the process. All right. They're going out to these communities to learn about what these people think about these cars and how, you know, they've now owned them for 7 years, they put 100,000 miles on them. So how is it? How is it? You know, it's like, well, you should expect this around this time. I mean, that's how I turned out not buying an Audi. I at one point in time thought about buying an Audi, and then I heard about this magical thing called a timing chain, not a belt, a chain. All right, where literally the entire car has to come apart. All right, so that they can replace this singular chain that sits on the backside of the engine. And I'm like, nope. I'm like, not interested. I'm not going in. Same reason why I bought the boat that I bought. I didn't buy the supercharged version of it because of when I went into these communities and I started learning things. People were telling me they were rebuilding their superchargers every 2 years at a cost of $4,000 a supercharger. I was like, nope, not into it. Anyways, I digress. I just can't express enough how valuable it is for a dealership to build a community and to actually be social on social media, not just do the media portion and check out the proverbial box that you got your social media done. Congrats. Anyways, there was another one we were talking about, and I only got a few more minutes in this episode, but I did want to bring it up because I know Jeff's got thoughts on it too, is the service handoff.
Handoff, yeah.
Jeff, play it up. What's your thoughts, man?
Well, to me, that's a crucial experience, right? Like even what we used to do is at the time of sale, we would introduce them to the service department because they were likely going to be there at that time, right? Or we had a picture at the desk so that they knew where to go exactly. And again, it didn't happen 100% of the time, but 90, 95% of the time. And that made the customers more comfortable, who they were going to be talking to, what the process looked like. I wanted them to know to use the drive-through. You know what I mean? Made it easier for my service advisors, especially if you've invested in putting these, Hunter line checkers, right? We were at that one Hyundai store a couple months ago or something like that.
Yep.
Beautiful drive-through. The service advisors are all lined up in there. We were there for an hour. Did you see a car pull in there?
Nope.
Why is that? Because maybe they're, customers aren't really aware of how the process should be. And if you've invested $100,000 into that machine, you want to use it, right?
Oh, true. Because the drive-through was actually on the back side of the dealership, not on the side of the dealership.
It was just a bit weird location.
So it wasn't super obvious when you drove
That's
in.
an education process, right?
Right.
You can easily overcome that. So I think to me, it's setting it up from the beginning so that they felt comfortable. The customer, when they met in person, they got that extra reassurance. To me, that was the key.
So I had this manager who I think was a complete dick. But now looking back, I thought of him at the time. I thought he was a total prick, right? Like seriously, like if I had to go to him to get numbers, I was just grinding my teeth the whole way, right? But he was a monster stickler for process. Just ex-military, understandable. But like, I mean, I remember like you'd have to come in, and if you were on his team, now you understand this is a big dealership, multiple managers, multiple teams, blah, blah, blah. If you're on his team, you had to execute the meet and greet verbatim to him before you could hit the sales floor. And if you couldn't do it within 3 tries, you got sent home.
Wow.
Just plain and simple. Got sent home, right? Like just so as you can see, a lot of people thought this guy was a prick. just
rightfully so, maybe. But hey,
think of that drill sergeant, from Full Metal Jacket. Just you guys are shitheads. No, anyways, but kind of like that. But one of the processes he made us do is he would not give us numbers until we introduced the customer to the service department. And a couple times you try to lie to him about it, right? He would call over to the service department to check and see if Jason had gone by and introduced his customers. And if I had it, guess what? It wasn't my deal anymore.
Oh.
It was a house deal. Like that's how like militaristic this guy was. But it is what it is. So okay. So let me explain to you the service intro, right? So take the customer out on the test drive, come back from the test drive. We park kind of closer to the service department, right?
Walk through it.
Walk through the service department. I kind of tell them about how many bays and how many technicians we have, what our hours are. I pinpoint one of the advisors. I'm like, Becky, there's Becky. Becky's going to be your best friend once you guys take ownership of the car later today. Assumptive close, right? I would also,
that helps to seal the deal too, right? Because you're not afraid to go the back door.
It did, right? And it was so. But the funny thing was, it was done before numbers were even presented. And with his philosophy, he believed that just built the additional value necessary to do business at this location versus the other 7 locations in town that sold the exact same product. Now, the way he went about it,
a little bit unorthodox, but
but I think there's serious value in doing that. And so we wouldn't. Then and only then would he give us numbers if we actually executed on that. So I think too often we think of the service handoff as something that has to happen at the end of a sales process. But I think there's so much value, so much value. I've changed my mind these days. Now that I'm older and wiser. All right. There is so much value. In fact, I think it is a mandate. Your customers should be introduced to the service department before you even present them numbers. All right. That's what I got to say about that. I know we're at the end of our time.
Yep. That's it for today.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Coffee with Jeff and Jason podcast with your hosts, Jeff Tessier and Jason Harris. Don't want to miss out on new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting. Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? Thanks for taking the time to come join us on another episode of Strategy with Jason, where we get to talk about anything and everything I want to talk about when it comes to strategy. Welcome to the show. If you don't like it, turn it off. No, I'm just kidding. Don't turn it off. Don't do it. Don't do it. No, but actually, hey, if you guys have listened to Strategy with Jason before and you do love the comments, one thing that we don't say too often on this show is we really, really do appreciate you guys sharing this content, engaging in the content. And, the biggest way that you can always throw a big high five back at us is leaving a review. And we've had some amazing reviews on this podcast. So I thank everybody for taking the time to do that. Today, I have Jeff Tessier with me. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, bro?
Good, buddy. You?
Good. And then I have the one, the only, the button pusher himself, the Austin.
Hello. Here to push some buttons.
Here to push some buttons. You know what? I think it's funny. If people knew how much of my day was controlled by other people, I think they'd be surprised. Do you know what I mean? Now, there's a strategy behind that, right? Like, I think when you're a business owner, I'm totally going off topic here, whatever. Guys know this. I find rabbit holes. As a business owner, though, and then the reason this came up is because I was actually talking to another business owner earlier this morning about a very similar concept here, right? Is, they're time blocking, but also there are times that you need to give yourself to the company or need to give yourself to the department, right? So that the department or that company has full access to you for a portion of time, so they can get what they need from you, and you can continue to move beyond your day. But that's, anyways, what's the strategy today? I'm just going straight into. You said strategy. I'm like, huh? I got one for you.
I mean, that's the strategy of your time and effort. So it's on topic.
It is. I've been talking. I've been talking about time blocking this week more than I think I've had in a longest time. But hey, Elon Musk time blocks. So like, smart people do it. Should do it.
So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the strategy of Smokes Poutine. I don't know if you're familiar, Jason, with this brand. And his sort of philosophy.
You know how familiar I am with them?
Mm-hmm.
You did a podcast with them, right?
Did a podcast with them.
Yeah.
Ryan is one of the coolest guys out there. Just actually, let me just say he's a cool human being. And Smokes Poutinery. So, okay. Actually, for everybody out there watching and listening to the show right now, Jeff, would you mind educating our audience on what a poutine is, and if I'm even saying it correctly?
Poutine.
Poutine?
It is a slice of heaven mixed with so French fries, golden yellow, crispy.
Of course.
The cheese curds with a nice gravy over top. That is a traditional poutine.
Poutine.
However,
I've been it wrong for years.
Smokes has re-established and reinvented the entire poutine
You're a fan too?
experience. Oh, it is unreal. And to the point where there's a lot of people copying it now, right? I mean, I don't know how big they are down there, but if anything, right? But we were at a car show, an 80s car show in Oakville. I can't remember the name, Oblivion or something it was called. And there was food trucks there, and trying to emulate the same idea. They didn't execute as well, but it's, you see it almost every time there's a rib fest or a thing. There's somebody trying to emulate that same. And I think you had an experience where it was at the airport somewhere that you ran into one of those.
I did. He actually expanded into burritos.
That's what it was. I couldn't remember. Yeah.
I was posting it online and how excited I was the fact that he expanded into burritos. So, okay, so when you meet Ryan, he is a hell of a character. All right. He will tell you that his goal is global domination of Putin. Like it is, he wants to make it a global phenomena. Does the article say how big he is these days? Because I cannot keep up with how fast he's growing.
Yeah, I think he's it does say he's about to open a franchise in Qatar.
Jeez.
In Dubai, I think he already did, maybe.
His properties are worth more than $4 million.
Does it say how many locations yet? I know, regardless, he's going global. He's trying to touch every country out there. He wants to share his passion. He has two passions. He has a passion for 80s hair bands and rock and roll.
Yeah.
All right. And a passion for Putin. Did I say it right? Am I saying it wrong again?
Close enough.
All right, whatever. French fries, gravy, and cheese. He's got a French fries.
But it's not just, I mean, it's just so many different ways you can cook it, right?
Well, see, that's the thing. So what he does is he wanted to take this really kind of like, rock star over the top. When we think of like rock stars, right? And you think of like Motley Crue, okay? Like Motley Crue. If you guys ever watching a documentary on Motley Crue, you'll understand what I'm saying. Motley Crue, they were insane. They were so over the top. I mean, these guys would just anything they did, they had to do it extreme and completely over the top, right? All the way down to their shows, to the after parties, to the music, to just everything had to be over. So this real kind of loud, fun, energetic, over the top, all right, experience. He wanted to mold that into French fries, gravy, and cheese. Now, when I think of French fries, gravies, and cheese, I don't typically think of Motley Crue rock and roll, hair bands, plaid. Oh, by the way, there's the other thing. He's got a monster passion for plaid. You want to throw that
Yeah.
one more time? I think my passion for orange is equal to his passion for plaid. Everything he has and owns and wears is plaid. Hell, I think his vehicle is even wrapped in plaid, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, oh yes. It's like plaid, rock and roll, and patin. That's his thing, man. But I think what's super interesting about is there's a few things. There's a lot of different ways that you can, look at what he's doing from a marketing perspective. You can look at what he's doing as far as building a brand. You also can just look at what he's doing in the sense from an entrepreneur. And what he's done here is he's taken his love and his passion and he's molded it all together into this beautiful ball that people also want to be a part of. So there's a lot of things we can break down with Ryan. Is there anything in particular, Austin, that you wanted to go down? Do you want to go down more like the path of branding, more of the path of just the development of the product?
Yeah, well, one thing that stood out to me is there's one part of this article where it says he's hiring people. He doesn't hire people for experience. He hires people for passion, for the brand, or for poutine, or entertainment.
I want one now.
I'll tell you this. Okay. I have recently changed my service department. Okay. Maybe a lot of you guys know, because I probably talk about it on a regular basis. I have a piece of shit Nissan Armada. All right. And, on a very regular occasion, all right, I am putting a good $500 to $1,000 worth of work into my Nissan Armada. So the most recent version of this, now I'm so glad my wife doesn't watch any or listen to any of these podcasts, but we were remodeling the house. We are remodeling the house, and contractor was busy, and she offered to go pick up tile for the bathrooms, right? Well, I don't know if you guys have ever picked up tile or you picked up just a single box of tile, but these tiny boxes of tiles are incredibly heavy. All right. And when you end up putting about 300 of these boxes or a couple hundred of these boxes into the back of an Armada with air suspension, it doesn't work it doesn't work too well. It's not a truck. And sure enough, we have either popped a airbag or blown the compressor. Now, I switched service departments recently. Let me explain why I switched service departments recently. Okay. The one I went to, there was no flavor. There was nothing, right? It was literally like going through a cafeteria checkout line, right? Like bring my car in, very little communication to me. In fact, actually, sometimes I didn't even know what they were actually even doing to the damn car until I showed up and ended up paying for it, right? No, but I'm serious. Just kind of like this conveyor belt approach of servicing my vehicle, right? Switched to another service department, and the over communication was amazing, but the communication was like, okay, here's what the problem is, here's what's broke, here's what has to be replaced, and here's what could be replaced. What? What? Huh?
That's interesting.
Exactly. I'm like, wait, you're going to give me two quotes here of what has to be done so that it fundamentally does work, or what should be done to ensure that there's no future problems down the road. Whoa. And immediately I saw that's a wildly different experience, right? So, okay. So, now I'm going back to this airbag issue. So literally the back end of my Armada is just sitting on, there's nothing. There's no airbag. It's not holding it up. Right. So I go to the service department, the new one that I've been going to. Right. And the guy goes, look, I'm pretty damn confident it's the compressor. I said, okay, well, I said, how much is this? I said, well, here's the thing. It takes about 7 minutes to replace the compressor. Oh, okay. So if I do it, I got to charge you this. But let me show you the 4 bolts you need to take off, and you can put it yourself. And he got underneath the car. It literally sits behind the rear tire, which, by the way, I think is a stupid effing place to put it.
Yeah, it's not smart.
It is not a good place to do it, where all the water and everything. Anyways, I digress. But thanks, Nissan. And then not only does that, then he goes and shows me, and he goes, hey, Order it from Nissan, it's going to cost you $897. Here's the exact same part on Amazon from the same company that actually makes it, and it's $216. What? Like, so he actually sends me the link. He's not even getting the work at this point. He actually sends me the link. Now, again, will his dealer appreciate the fact that he's doing that?
Probably not.
Right? But I'll tell you what, though, I have sent customers to him. All right. I have praised this dealership's name as many times as I possibly can. All right, to as many people as I have, because their approach to the customer, not to their approach to the service itself. Right. So, and I think this is the same thing here, right? Like, right, like you go, no, we're talking about lunch. Okay. So let's just say it's lunch, right? You go to Subway. All right. They're making your sandwich and it's just like, would you like, no eye contact, no nothing, right? What cheese, what turkey? There you go. And just go on. Like, it's just no, really. That is not the case when you go to a smokes machinery. Like, you go there, they are like eye contact. They're smiling. They're excited to see you. They're happy to see you, right? And they are jacked and excited to share their passion around cheese, gravy, and French fries. And they're going to show you not only that, but the 29 different ways that they've changed everything. You can have everything from roast beef to barbecue on it to tikka masala on it. Like, I mean, they've made a version of poutine for actually anybody and everybody out there, right? But their passion speaks through it. So it doesn't, but I think what the key thing to break down here from a strategy perspective, and Austin, you mentioned it, it's who you hired, right? Who you hire is the person, not necessarily the product in this case, because the product can speak for itself, but that's one thing, right? Like, I can get my vehicle serviced at many different Nissan dealerships, all right? It's the same product, right? But the person associated with that product is what makes a huge difference, And I gotta be honest with you. This new dealership that I've been going to, I have a whole nother level of trust with them that they don't even, like, last time I dropped it off for an oil change, they're like, hey, do you want us to check this and this? I said, whatever it needs to be done, just go ahead and do it. I don't care. Well, what if it's that? It's okay. If you tell me it needs done, I'm not even going to question them. My level of trust with them is so incredibly high. I'm not even going to, and the funny thing is now I'm taking my other Nissans to them as well. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so strategy, people strategy. This is what we're talking about, guys. We're talking people strategy. I know I've been talking around the subject for a little while, but we're talking about the strategy of people. All right. You can have one of the most amazing products or services in the world, but you got shitty people. There goes your experience right there. You guys have probably felt that as well. The funny thing is actually flip it the other way. You get a mediocre product or service, but the people, all right, can elevate the crap out of it. Jeff, have you experienced this? Austin, have you?
Yeah.
What's a good example? Where the people made the big difference. I know of one, if you can't think of one. Me and Jeff had this amazing dinner at the JW Marriott.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's funny, it's because it's what comes to mind. It was so, the dinner was the dinner was so good that, I can just recall it like that. And it's been what, maybe a couple of years, something like that?
Over a year, but
over a year. Okay. All right. It was the person. I mean, don't get me wrong, the food was good.
yeah, I mean,
but man, that waiter made
from the moment we walked in,
right?
Yeah,
like just made the whole experience. It just felt like, there was just this person had this unnatural, just kind of very natural ability to, even though the restaurant was busy, it was busy because it was like a Friday night or something like that. It was busy, all right, but it was like, I don't know, you just felt like it's just 100% going to take care of you no matter what, right? It was just going to pretty much just kind of like almost kind of just draw you along through this experience. I actually don't even know if I remember picking up a menu that night.
No, I don't think we did. He started to, obviously when you sit down, they talk about specials, but he was engaging with the specials and how great they were and why he thought that was the right fit for us. Cause he asked us questions as well at first, right? What were you guys?
That's what we've been doing that day.
What were you looking at to do? And blah, 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 all that stuff. Right. Because what was that place? It's, is it a Chop Steakhouse?
Yeah, it was a steakhouse. Yes, it was a
Like
steakhouse. I don't even remember the name of this.
Is it Chop? I think it's Chop, but I don't
Could be,
remember.
could
But that guy was amazing, and then he walked us through. I would classify that night as an immersive experience.
Well,
From
because
that moment on.
we didn't make a choice. Here, well, okay, we did make a choice. Here's the choice that we made. We made the choice in him.
Yeah.
And then everything from that was just like it almost kind of like figure like you're like choosing like a guide. Like when I went fishing, I picked a guide and he just kind of like guided me through the lake. Right. It was like and I just never really kind of thought that this would kind of that kind of experience you could get at a restaurant. But guys, I'm talking about a meal. Okay, yeah, it was an expensive meal, but you know,
I don't think the meal
Meal,
was expensive. It was the wine that was expensive.
Oh, that wine was expensive. It was, okay, but it was he was driving the boat. We were along for the ride. Do you know what I mean?
Enjoyed every aspect of that ride.
Just 100%. It was just like kick back, rest your feet up. I'm just going to take you through this whole ride, you know? But that was the person, not necessarily the product or service, guys. So you can see, like, I know we're harping on this and maybe we're dragging this out, but I just can't express enough. All right. It's people, processing technology. And man, you can have processing technology, but if you don't have the right people, you are screwed. You know?
And it's hard to get people to see that as well, right? I had one service advisor that was pretty good, like on the phone and whatever, but in person, which was devastating. I had to let her go because she couldn't get over it. I always said, if I got a camera on you to watch you, how you deal with customers, it's unreal.
Head down, no eye contact.
Very, and just cold, and like you were interrupting her day somehow. But once she got to know the customer, she was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But that first initial, walk up to the counter, and it was just like you just shat in her cornflakes or something, right? You've got to, I know it gets repetitive, right? Because I did that job for so long. You've got to treat every customer like it's the first time, like their experience is going to be the greatest that day, whether they're in a good mood or not, right? Because I mean, obviously not everybody comes into the dealership, they're under stress, they got work they're thinking about, they're probably late for work, they got to get to the meeting, they don't know how much their car is going to cost to fix. You've got to set them at ease and just say, don't worry, I've got this.
You do. And as a business owner, that's what you need. You need to have a strategy behind it. And then going back to the article you popped up, right? That's what Ryan Smoklin has done here. Okay, not only has maintained a bar of a quality of product, because the products, Jeff, come on,
yeah.
Dude, it's when it comes to gravy, and not just gravy, but just any variation you could ever possibly think. You guys have to check out the website. You have to see all the different variants. It's insane. Like I think he did one with duck. I remember there was one like this, like a roasted duck, on it. But anyways, I digress. But the product, but again, the product's only as good as the people that then serve us product, right? The product can carry the experience only so far. It's the people that bring it all the way home. And that's what he's talking about there. And I know that he's hugely passionate about it because he talked a lot about it on the podcast that we did. I think it was maybe a couple of years ago. Even then it was a big deal, right? But what I find interesting with him is do you have the menu pulled up? I want to see it. Okay, which one? All right, Austin, which one's your favorite? Let's do this. Let's see, we got Korean.
I might go for the Korean. That looks good.
I don't know, man. That bacon cheeseburger. Look at this, and you can like
pierogi.
Ooh, nice. Pulled pork. All right. Well, let me see that chicken one. Chicken Inferno. I've had that Chicken Inferno. Now I like spice, and I like a good brow sweat when I eat. That thing will definitely give it to you for sure.
I'd be interested to try that butter chicken.
The butter chicken one, dude, is like seriously dope. It's so good. But again, guys, this is what we're talking about. Like, see, here's the thing. Amazing product. It will take you so far. The people will take it all the way through creating an experience. You guys need to have a strategy around that. I think it's super important. All right. I know we're getting towards the tail end, so we probably got time to kind of jam about one other. Is there anything else strategy-wise you wanted to go over today?
Yeah, like I guess you covered it, but in terms of like choosing like what to look for in new hires is sort of a lot of people tend to look for who's got the most experience, but I think he took a new approach and sort of went with the whole who's got the most energy and the most passion, and maybe that's something else dealerships can look at in terms
Well,
of
it should be part of the
criteria.
interview. It should be part of the interview process, right? Like, it's like I'm in the middle of hiring some new salespeople, right? And I met with someone the other day that, from a resume perspective, technically has it all, right? But within about 2.5 minutes of speaking to this person, realize there's absolutely just no passion, no energy, like just, but has the acclimates and the education and the quote unquote network to be a huge potential salesperson. But I just, within the first 3 minutes of the conversation, I was like, this would be I can't, there's not the people element, right? So then I had another interview with another person who doesn't have the resume, but the passion, holy crap, the passion was there so much. You can see where I'm probably going with this, but I definitely, to your point, Austin, I think it needs to be a part of the interview process. I would hire, personally, me, now not everyone's the same. I would hire passion over experience every time. Jeff, what do you think?
Absolutely. That's going to create your experience for the customer, right? I think you can teach the day-to-day nuances or steps, processes that are going to be required, like organization skills or whatever the case may be, or understanding the maintenance schedule, or why you need to do a brake service or an alignment or whatever. That's easy. And worst case scenario, we've got all these tools today anyway. We can take a picture to walk them out to the shop. It's understanding how to deal with the customer, number one, how to interact and engage with the customer so that they get to the point where you were with your dealership. You start to trust them, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the service department as a service advisor, I mean, I never really wanted to get into that role years ago because they looked all stressed out. But I was very good at remembering customers. I could pick up a conversation with whoever from like they were in 4 months ago. Oh, how's Timmy doing in his hockey? I know it's coming up to hockey season right now. I know you were saying he's doing some power skating through the summer, whatever. How is he working out? Engaging with the customer in a certain level to make them feel comfortable. Walking them through this. And I used to have, like you were saying with your example there was a Honda store that I worked at, and the guys were like, how the heck did you sell all that stuff? I was gone for 2 years, and it was a Reynolds system, right? I think it was like A, B, C, D, all the way through the alphabet. And they said there was multiple ROs where customers came in for service where it was into double letters.
Yep.
For job lines. And they were like, you were just raping and pillaging customers. I said, no. I would walk through everything that the car needed today, what was coming due, explain the value, and then I would talk about the price. And much like you said earlier, I did assume the sale, right? We can get this done by, because to me, the customer was concerned about what is my car going to need today? How much is it going to cost me? And when am I going to get this thing back? Because I got to do whatever I got to do. Exactly. So I dispelled all those things. They weren't going to listen if I told them the brakes were going to cost $1,000 and this is going to cost $900. And this is, I got all the things out that I needed to say, and walked them through it and made them feel comfortable. And I can get this, if we know in the next, 20 minutes or whatever, I can get this done for you today, or I can find an alternative arrangement for transportation for you because I know you got to pick up Timmy at 4:00. There's no way I'm going to get all this work done. And I want to, and if you want, you can hold this stuff up because you could tell if the customer was in a position of budget constraints, right?
Of course.
And 9 times out of 10, or maybe even more than 9 times out of 10, they would do everything I asked. And there was a trust factor too, right? The next time they came in, whatever it needs, Jeff. And I would never take advantage of that. That's the other thing, right?
That comes down to the people portion, right? So you got the right people, they're not going to take advantage of that trust. They built it and they want to maintain it. Look, guys, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time today, and I think just to kind of recap, I didn't know this was the strategy we were going in today, but I love the fact that this is the strategy that we decided, to discuss. If you guys get a chance, definitely check out Ryan Smokelin online. He's also very active on social, so you can pretty much find him on any social account out there. Check out Smokes, man. Seriously, amazing product. But like we said, products is only going to take you so far. The people is going to take you to that next level, which really generates an experience. Finding those right people, needs to be really kind of, you're looking for the people with the passion, and it's part of that interview process. A resume is great, experience is great, but again, that only takes you so far when, that consistent passion and energy and love for what it is will really make that person, ultimately just a significant part of your operations in a way that you just may not have, right? And we encourage you. It needs to be a part of your strategy. It's a people, process, technology game. Step up your game on the people side, and you're going to see some amazing things happen to your operations.
Yep.
Hey, guys. Hey, for everyone out there watching and listening right now, you guys enjoyed this content, this podcast, please make sure to go strategywithjason.com for additional content. And the best thing, if you're enjoying this, you like this, guys, hit the like button, engage, say hi. And if you really want to give us a high five, we love a review. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a wonderful day.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.